So you would drop
and
Aaron Rodgers over Damian Harris?
Running backs are so hard to find. What if next week, all of a sudden, Ramondre Stevenson, it's a high ankle sprain, and he's out for a month? And now you're sitting on you can find a quarterback. We just talked about it. I have
a lot of running backs. I have a pretty good depthful. You know what my running backs are? I'll tell you my running backs.
Let's hear them.
I have Henry, Chubb, Walker, Harris, Murray, and Dobbins. My wide receiver core is pretty good too. I have Samuel, Thielen, Moore, Watson,
McLaurin. I thought you had
McLaurin. I mean, my team's pretty stacked, and I'm
going to play. Yeah, I mean, you're going to play Christian Watson every week.
Of course.
You're going to play Terry McLaurin every week. Those other guys. I mean, we have Rondale Moore or Elijah Moore.
Rondale Moore.
Rondale. I mean, so he's hurt, so he's not doing anything.
He might play this week.
For every other week.
They're saying Rondale Moore might play this week.
I know Dortch might play too, so we'll see. I was reading up on that before I came on the show. It'll be interesting to see how they divvy things up if we can get Rondale Moore back. He might be even on some waiver wires, folks. Check for that because, you've got the bye they're coming off of. Andy's been injured. So I know teams, they got to make moves. There's 6 teams on bye this week. So they're cutting players. You might find for your playoff run a really good player sitting on the waiver wire this week because, hey, I got to make a move. Like you're saying, I got to cut this guy to get a quarterback. There was 3 quarterbacks injured this week, and that was 6 teams on bye. People are definitely heading to the wire tonight.
Never been a six teams in week 14 having a bye
week. Baker Mayfield is a Ram now.
Oh, God. I mean, the Rams, that to me screams the Rams knew Wolford's hurt, their backup quarterback, who's their starting quarterback last week. And the kid Perkins is awful. He shouldn't even be in the league.
Yeah, he's a dual.
So they're like, well, listen, we have nothing going on. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if they reached out maybe to his agent and they go, listen, demand a trade. They'll get ready. They don't care. Right. And we'll pick your ass up. And they're saying he could start this week. How do you come in and you've been off the street and you're going to start? I mean, it makes no sense. Isn't that the Thursday night game?
Yep.
Yeah, Rams and Raiders.
That's impossible.
What a game on Thursday night. That was supposed to be so highly touted at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I can't see that. But, hey, if he plays, start the defense against him.
Hey, they probably just did it. After all that, they probably just did it just to spite the 49ers to make sure he didn't go there. Because who knows? The 49ers
they didn't put a claim in for him, though.
Yeah, I know that, but being it's the waivers process, it's essentially like fantasy football. You're going to have teams that go in, and the 49ers being 8-4, it's going to be a little higher. But
you know what?
You never know.
If you're San Francisco, so Baker Mayfield has stunk for multiple years. He's small. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a big arm. I mean, you go, we got Brock Purdy. They picked up Josh Johnson off the Broncos practice squad. It's like, do we really want to bring this guy in and all his bag? It's like, we'll just play Purdy. If not, we'll go and we'll find somebody else.
I actually like Purdy's arm talent a lot. I think what hurt him was 2 things. One of which, his first 2 years in college were great, and then the next couple of years he kind of fell off with his decision making. Like we've been saying a lot about Zach Wilson, he missed a lot of those short throws, and that really hurt him. And also just the way the league has shifted to mobile quarterbacks. Purdy is not mobile.
By the way, I dropped Damian Harris. So
did you?
I can't take it. I first of all, as a Patriot, I hate the Patriots. One, so I don't even want a Patriot on my team. I dropped. Who was the tight end? I'm sorry, Hunter Henry. I traded Hunter Henry. So I hate the Patriots. I hate drafting them. I hate putting them on my roster. But I thought he was going to be the number 1 guy, even with Stevenson having the season that he did in the second half last year. I still thought that Damian Harris was the better player. And now Damian Harris, they're not going to re-sign him at the end of the year. Why would they do that when they have Stevenson? So he's going 3
running backs they drafted this year.
So he's going to be a free agent. Honestly, if I were the Buffalo Bills, that's what I would look at the offseason. I would bring in Damian Harris. I think he'd be a perfect.
They're looking at James Cook, a guy they took in the second round, and they're giving him tons of work now.
Yeah.
He could be on waiver wires across America.
Only a matter of time.
He stinks. You
don't like James Cook?
No, I don't like him a lot. No. What? That's isn't that what Dalvin Cook's
brother? Dalvin Cook's younger brother.
He
was one of the 2 along with Zamir White on that championship Georgia team last year.
Yeah,
I thought White was better coming out. Zamir White I actually thought was better coming out of the draft, but Cook's outplayed him this year.
Yeah, I don't like him.
Last night, Cook, season high in snaps. He led the Bills in rushing, receiving. I mean, he outperformed Naheem Hines, outperformed Devin Singletary. But what scares me is Hines got more work than he ever has. I don't know why they made that trade if they drafted James Cook and you're going to give him all this run. Why would you give up assets to get Nyheim Hines? But hey, it's their team. But the Bills at their core don't want to run the football. We know that. They want to drop back and they want to throw. So I don't trust this offensive backfield at all, even though we just got a top 12 performance out of James Cook. I don't know if I can trust him in my lineup in the playoffs.
And here's another thing. Cook is not going to run the ball very well against this Jet team. So I think they're going to have problems running the ball again. I think Josh Allen's going to be very scared in the pocket, and he's going to try to move even better outside the pocket because he doesn't want to get hit. And I think the Jets are going to cause a lot of problems in their running game. So I think they're going to have to air the ball out to beat the Jets this week. They're not just going to – and I don't think Josh is going to run out of the pocket and want to get hit by them, especially what happened a couple of weeks ago. So he hasn't been the same since that Jet game, honestly. He has not. So
the Bills – they don't want to admit this. They miss Cole Beasley more than any player.
100%.
Cole Beasley was the glue that held that offense together. I don't even know if he's on a roster right now. I'd bring his ass back.
He was with Tampa, but then I think he retired officially.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they needed
a
Odell
Renfro.
Beckham.
They need a Renfro. They need somebody like that.
Yes,
You
they
know.
need somebody to slot. I mean, Isaiah McKenzie. They're trying to get him going. They drafted
that
the
reminds
kid
me.
Shakir.
That reminds me. And by the way, we are talking to Pro Football Focus, Sirius XM fantasy football radio show host Brian Drake. What the heck is Josh McDaniels doing? I mean, is this guy blind or something? How do you have a weapon like Renfro, like a Wes Welker, a Julian
He's been
Edelman?
hurt.
I mean, even hurt. When he is on the field, he disappears. He doesn't give him the ball. What the hell is wrong with this guy?
They're trying to make something out of Matt Collins.
Dude, this guy almost had 1,000 yards.
I know, Matt
last year.
Collins is an Eagle, ex-Eagle. I get it.
Well, no, I don't care about Matt Collins.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm looking at Hunter Renfrow. I mean, the guy hasn't played in, forever. I mean, so what are you going to do? Really, what shocks me more is they're not getting Foster Moreau as involved as I thought they would, filling in for Darren Waller, who, oh, by the way, said today he could be returning next week. So Darren Waller hasn't played in like 10 weeks. So check your waiver wires, folks. Somebody might have dropped Darren Waller. Maybe you got an IR spot. You can stash him, pick his ass back up. It looks like he'll return next week for a team that's maybe getting a little something going here the last few weeks.
Yes, isn't it great? The Raiders have now picked up 3 defensive tackles. The Chargers dropped 2 of them, got sacks in their Week 18 game last year, and now another one got another sack this year to beat the Chargers.
I mean, you're picking up defensive tackles from the Chargers. Nobody is worse against the run than those guys the last few years.
But the Raiders are against the Chargers. That's all that matters.
Before we let you go, what did you think about the college football playoff? How do you like the committee's choices? TCU loses their big game. USC loses their big game. TCU is still in it. USC falls out of it. Caleb Williams, to me, is the Heisman Trophy winner. He's been fantastic.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts? Georgia, Michigan, TCU, Ohio State going into the playoffs.
I'm honestly surprised. And I was tweeting about this. You can follow me at Drake Fantasy if you want on Twitter for the 10 minutes. Twitter's still around. And I was surprised that TCU stuck in it, to be honest, because college football is about money. The players get paid, the coaches get paid, the TV networks run the show. I wouldn't have batted an eye if they said TCU's out, Alabama's in. And now we get Alabama against Georgia. We get Ohio State against Michigan. Could you imagine the ratings bonanza? We get the rematches of those games again. Now, is it fair? A team that's not even in their freaking conference championship game gets into the playoff? No, it's not. But again, college football has never been about fair. College football is about ratings. College football is about money. TCU is going to get smoked. I mean, no one's touching Georgia. Georgia's going to beat Michigan by 30 in the national championship game. But I'm fine with it. Well, Ohio State gets in. They've got a huge audience. They got to have one of those guys in there, right? Even if USC would have won and maybe USC gets in or whatever, do people in California really care about USC if you're not an alum? Like,
I mean, in USC's defense, it's probably their most popular sport. But then again, it's LA, so
girls volleyball challenging.
Maybe. By the way, you mentioned Georgia too. Are you surprised that Stetson Bennett got the Heisman nod over Hendon Hooker, at least as a finals? I don't think either of them are going to win anyway, but still, like, I was shocked at that.
I mean, the guy's 40 years old. Probably he went to high school with some of the guys on the committee. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
I can't get over that. I didn't even realize how old Stetson Bennett was until I started reading about it. I'm like, this guy's like 24. There are dudes like their fourth year in the NFL. They're the same age as him.
See, don't worry. At least he's not as old as the his quarterback partner last year in JT Daniels, who's now entering his 6th year and his 4th different time in the transfer portal.
Oh my gosh, this transfer portal. Let me ask you guys this before we go.
Go ahead.
I'm running out of beer here. I've got to ask you guys about Deion Sanders. Okay, I love Deion Sanders, the player.
Mm-hmm.
I had a pair of Deion's shoes. I loved him at the Braves, and I loved him. Deion was great. Could do no wrong. I had a Deion poster in my room as a kid. This stuff here is bullshit with this coaching. Him leaving Jackson State. God sent me to Jackson State to do all this. Really? God sent you there for 2 years? And then because you're making more money, now you can go to Colorado? It's never about the players.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Deion. Like, why are we making this like, he's going to put Colorado on the map? No, he's not. No, he's going to go there. He's going to bring in a bunch of kids. They're going to be okay. And the real key is, can Deion coach? Because I don't know how much coaching he actually does. It might be some of the assistants here. He's kind of the figurehead. But that's what I'm really curious about. Can Deion now out-coach big-time D1 coaches who are also paying shit tons of money to players to come play for them?
Mm-hmm.
When you play against these guys in the Pac-12, you're not playing SWAC competition. That's a step above high school.
I will say this before Speedy cuts in. I believe that he is a good recruiter.
He's great.
I think
great recruiter.
I think people will go to him. He has the money behind him now. Jackson just didn't have money. I watched the little thing that 2020 did on him, and I like his personality. Deion almost died a couple of years ago. He had blood clots. I think we have to give Deion a chance. I'm not a big Deion Sanders fan, but I think he's proven that he can coach. I think he can, and I think he brings the right coaching staff together over here in Colorado. I don't know if they win a national championship. They're not.
No,
but
they don't need talent.
No, but I think he's going to be able to recruit some of the top talent. He recruited one of the best wide receivers to Jackson State, who, by the way, is following him to Colorado. So
I felt terrible about that. I watched his little press conference when he went in and he was talking to half the team showed up, and he was talking. He's like, "Listen, I'm bringing my luggage with me." We're talking about other players. Like, First of all, that's a recruiting violation. You can't talk about players who are on other teams, but they'll never get in trouble for that. And if I'm these kids, there's still a part of you that has to say, I know college football is a business and some of these kids get paid, but not all of them. Not kids on Colorado, right? And to come in and just say, like, guess what? You stink and you're going to get run out of here, and I'm going to bring in X, Y, and Z. Oh, by the way, we already have the quarterback, my son, who's going to come in here, and we got this guy's going to – what if you're the quarterback? I don't know who the hell Colorado's quarterback is, but imagine if that kid's sitting in that room, right? And you maybe you've been working for that team for 3 years, and you're sitting there and you're like, oh, wait, now you're not going to play. You're like, what? What are you talking? I don't even get a chance to fight for this job. And isn't college football a little about building guys from young men into adults and like building more than just, hey, let's go make money? Or is that what college football, that's all it is now?
Yeah,
There's no building into men.
It's a business.
Right. And you bring up a good point, too. Like, sometimes these egos end up taking over, and that's why a lot of these big-name college coaches don't work in the NFL either. And now you're seeing it with that kind of awkward introductory press conference. Again, some of these player relationships, again, not off to the greatest start. But, again, Colorado's been so irrelevant for football in such a long time. I think the last bowl game they made was like 2015 or something like that. And that was just a bowl game, nevertheless a college football playoff experience where they've been nowhere close to. So they tried a big swing. But, yeah, I do question question about the coaching too. And again, he's going to be able to motivate some players. He's definitely going to be able to recruit and get like good money deals and stuff like that. And I think that's what maybe Colorado is going for. And then maybe when Deion Sanders gets some other job somewhere else, then they'll have at least the revenue to try to get somewhere, because nobody's going to want to go to Colorado on its own, because again, it's a cold weather state. You're in the Pac-12 that is pretty deep, but it's still not like a powerhouse conference. So you're not going to be in the college football playoff a lot as it is. USC is their best chance, and they blew it. So, I mean, really, even with the expansion, you might only get 2 teams in. So it's going to be hard as it is.
It's embarrassing. It really is. But again, I think when you look at Deion Sanders and what he's all about, we have to wait and see how he's going to run the Colorado and see where and how he recruits these players to come and play over there. Who's to say? And he already said he's never coaching in the NFL. He has no interest in coaching in the NFL. But if he proves himself in Colorado, who's to say he can't get a big SEC job?
That's where it's going. He wants to coach it. I mean, Florida State just hired a new coach, but that's where he wants to go. He wants to go back down
he'll
to
be the next head coach at Auburn in 3 years when Hugh Freeze flames
That's
out.
what I think is going to happen, yeah. I think he'll be running Auburn. He'll, if what's his name again, Saban leaves and Clemson coach, what's his name again? Dabo goes over to Alabama. He could take Clemson over. I mean, there's so many opportunities, because that's where I think Dabo is going. You know, he as soon as Nick Saban decides he's done, and that could be very soon, that's where Sweeney's going. He's going to his alma mater. That's where he wants to go, and that's where he always planned to go. So
never rule out a coaching firing with Texas either.
I expect that to happen. Anyways, Mr. Drake, I want to get you on soon again. We love you. You're not only so talented when it comes to your voice and your personality, you know your stuff, and it's amazing. And keep up the good work. Say hello to the fam, and happy holidays, and we'll talk to you in the new year.
Thank you, fellas. Continued success here, and happy holidays.
Thank you.
We'll catch you guys down the road. We're talking Jets playoff games.
Maybe. Let's not have wishful thinking. As Speedy calls me, the king of wishful thinking. So
I love that song. I hear it at the grocery store. I sing along with it.
Yeah, Speedy never heard it, and I actually introduced it to him. Now he loves it.
It's funny. Errol introduced it to me like
Go West. They're a huge band.
Errol introduced it to me like one time before our show, like 4 years ago or something like that. He wanted me to play it at the beginning of the show, and he says, "Oh, it's like an '80s beat. Like you like '80s music." Like, and I never heard of them because they're one hit wonder. I never heard of them as Go West, and then I hear it. Then I hear
useless information.
And then I hear it. I was in a restaurant picking up food, and I heard it. I'm like, oh wait, that's your song. Yeah. That's his song.
Yeah. If you're drunk at a Walmart at 2 a.m, that's when you're going to hear that song.
Brian,
all right, fellas, I'm wasting up your time.
No, you're not. You never wasting our time.
Never.
We really appreciate Brian. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, fellas. Take care.